Mid-December 2024 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails and video clips. Yes, I'm in the lounge at the moment and I'm having to improvise with my smartphone instead of a camera, and so most of this video, apart from the photo trails in the middle, will be earlier clips shot probably a week ago and other stuff. Anyhow, right now we're at the stage of newsletters going out. Some were posted yesterday, and that's the online Christmas newsletter, and there are various printable versions, shortened versions there, and I find this very difficult what I'm doing at the moment, but not to worry. So what shall I say? Oh yes, that's Robin's Naughty Corner. The earlier material will show you things, and yeah, coming through, you see Christmas decorations going up. Yeah, glance at this untidy room here. So work has been going on that. Not a lot. And yeah, Samantha's been doing a bit of hoovering recently, and Baldrick's cunning plan that he told me was to get Samantha more involved in helping June with housework and possibly other things. So there's, as you'd expect, tennis on the television. As Samantha is actually helping June there. That's the new dryer which appears on photo trails. This is the kitchen. Right now we've got a block sink. You'll see that in the details of the photo trail. So a lot of this might be of use for guys that are going to help with property maintenance in the broadest sense. So I'll give a quick glimpse of the garden, but the same thing will appear on the material that was shot, I think a week or so back. And so what I'm going to do here is, after this, what I should mention is Baldrick's cunning plan last year was the process that was very successful of creating space in the garden for putting things, and we just need to do that work of putting things in the right place. And as I often say, people often tell me where to stick things, but Baldrick's recent cunning plan in the last few months was for me to avoid jumping in and doing work, but instead to encourage Samantha to come out of her room and instead of sat up there watching television, and help June with the housework, and actually move from the point of view, well, not a housework, all the odds and ends. And in fact, there was progress on that with putting up Homer, which you'll see in the photo trails. And of course, one of the bonuses is it means that it's good for my well-being, because I can spend much more time down in the village, in cafes, and most important of all, in the Comrades Club. Some people call it networking. And of course, it's all to do with hobbies and charitable causes. It's nothing to do with avoiding work or delegating work. Anyhow, that's enough talking from myself. I think one thing I could try and do, if I can do this, I'm obviously in selfie mode, which I'm completely unfamiliar with, is a quick glance of Homer on video as opposed to in the photo trails. So this is Homer. Hello, Homer. And yes, hello. And so that was one of the things that, one of the jobs that Samantha helped early on, improvising, getting a solution there. It's the nitty gritties in the photo trails. So I'll go back where I was. The whole thing is rather disorganised, as you can see, and I hope these clips to come together in a relatively organised way, if that's possible. I'll try and end on our porch where the last video, which was early December, started. This is our front porch, and here is the flatulent fairy. So we'll start about here. This is the flatulent fairy out the front, which may go up one of the trees for Christmas. But you see, I'm having to use my smartphone because I haven't managed to get to use any of the other cameras. I'm wearing the Father Christmas gear. Now what I'm going to do is, after this clip, there'll be an introduction that was shot probably a week ago for another video, and then the photo trails, and then I wrap up with the usual stuff about global warming and DVLA. So here's the robot boat, and you'll see the photo trails for the last day showing that the wind had blown it down, and so that lamp, which is still working, he says there, so it's still working, but it's broken off there, so that has to be fixed. And there's Snoopy the Viking, or better put that in a better place, down there. So you'll see the detail in the photo trails. So what I'll do now is, yes, that's the front of the house. I'll run into the introduction that was shot a little while ago. And these really will be rough cut because I'm messing around with two cameras. This one will probably fail soon. Anyhow, first the introduction. Where we live at 22 Armitage Court. Signs about fierce guard cats. Where GPS was tested from the late 1980s. Down at this spot here. Oh, the garden sculpture seems to have got disappeared, knocked about. Oh dear. And yes, if you want more about the robot boat, look at earlier photo trails like end of October or something like that. But that's Snoopy's robot boat. Loads of work needed on that, with the help of others. It might possibly be suitable to be tested this year, but as I say, look at the earlier photo trails for more. Coming down, June got her car back after work done on it, and very pleased with that. That gets mentioned in the photo trails, and of course I'm not allowed to drive. That's all covered by the public information. And yes, the cat fort. This is for the fortunate people who haven't had to put up with my videos being put up. So that's lovely blue skies, and here we come to where I go through the process of warning you, health and safety and all that, but don't forget they are just jokes. And so before we actually go into the house, yes, that's the flatulent fairy. We're getting close to Christmas, so this year it might be ready to go up on a tree, and we've got quite a few around here. And yes, there's lots of other gadgets around here. They appear in earlier photo trails in more detail, but the important thing are the warning signs. And don't forget, these are just jokes, because some people will say, oh, you daren't say that. So first of all, closed circuit TV cameras inside and out the house. Sound and video is monitored in local houses and elsewhere. There's just one example. There are many cameras everywhere. No trespassing. Violators will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. And this is my study through there. Do not disturb. I'm disturbed enough already. And since cameras are the least you have to worry about, oh, by the way, I can see the senior guard cat is coming down. This is Bentley, who, hello Bentley, he's a major protector of the premises, and he's been training. You're probably coming in to have something to eat, I expect, aren't you, Bentley? There you go, Bentley, you can go in. You don't have to June, Bentley's coming through. Okay, Bentley, in you go. Yes, that's the feeder, peanut feeder for the wildlife that come. Go on in, Bentley, you can go in. You don't have to worry about Toadie. I'm not going in until I've read those warning signs. It's all to do with health and safety. Now, as I said, cameras are the least you have to worry about. Bentley is an example. He's the senior guard cat that's been training Toadie. If he's carrying firearms, it won't be obvious. But easy to carry surveillance equipment. Right, here we go. This one's important. Home of mad ex-NATO scientist Robin Lovelock. Beware of web cameras and water squirters loaded with water, paint, acid, DNA tracer or nerve agent. Robin would not be mad enough to test these, or would he? Just a joke, of course. Right, I think that's it, yes. Visiting cards. You'll see I'm growing a beard for Christmas. What does that do about things like visiting cards or ID, photo ID, let alone systems that recognise your face in order to decide what to do? Right, I think that's it. I think it's safe to go into the house. So I'll just put that where it was. Nobody picks those up. Right, yes, I think it. Oh, I didn't point out the camper. This is what takes Snoopy down to the coast for an attempt on crossing the Atlantic. And it's got battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. Right, I think it's safe to go into the house now. So, and at any time I might suddenly stop the video because the camera will have gone flat on here. Okay, June, give it a wave. There you go. Right, untidy games room, and with the right help, and that's what these photo trails are largely about, getting help, because the place, things need to be put in the right place. Earlier photo trails will probably show it much better. I'll close this door for the moment. Right, into the kitchen. Oh yes, here's Bentley. We don't want him to disturb you, especially because he can be quite violent when he wishes to, but he only uses violence when it's absolutely necessary. Right, so yeah, that was a bit of work that was done some time ago now, at least a year or two back. Most of the work is out in the garden. Probably won't get a chance to show it. Right, let Bentley carry on eating there. That's okay, is it, Bentley? Thought so. Right, so quick glance at the lounge. About the only room that is untidy. Things like diary, radio, computer, COVID graphs, other bits and pieces, and Robin's naughty corner. That's the important bit because that's got comfortable furniture for me to relax in the evening and eat. Oh, and here's Toadie. Toadie is our guard cat. Toadie, hello. No playing. Okay, you're relaxing, are you? You're supposed to be on duty here, right? No attacking me. Right. That's the dreadlocks from a party some time ago. Yes, oh, and that's another one that appears on, I think it's the Catamaran video. Anyhow, that closed circuit TV, that's just for the channels. Yeah. I expect this camera's going to go flat any time. But, okay, Bentley. What are you going to do? Check out things, I suppose. Right, what I'll do is I'll go out this way. As I say, the camera might go flat any time. Few things here. Haven't tidied it up. It's all a matter of doing higher priority things. And which in recent months means going down to the village and spending time there. Oh, there's Alexa's sailing saucer. Gets a special page on the Snoopy Robot Boat page. Yeah, friends everywhere. even during difficult times. Peanuts, out into the garden. And what I'll do is, since this might still be running, I'll say we go into the photo trails here. Oh, hello Bentley, you decided to come out this way, have you? Right, okay. Yeah, well, it's a good idea, you could check things out. Right, so I might continue this shoot, so goodness knows what will happen when I edit this video, but let's say, so the photo trail will probably start about here. Sunday the 8th of December 2024, starting with a summary of the photos shot that day. Didn't start shooting photos till quite late, 20 to 9 I think that was, and started with that Samsung camera until the battery ran flat. At least I could get better full aspect ratio pictures. June's cooking up the dinner for her and Samantha. I'm processing of a video, in fact that's probably uploading to YouTube. And yes, also been doing work on the Christmas newsletter. So they're eating and watching TV, and I'm setting off. And of course that camera works much better in low light conditions, but that's about as far as I managed to get any pictures before it went flat, and still don't know the problem with it yet. Anyhow, into the flame kebab using the other camera, which is a lot better than nothing. Enjoyed my burger, and yes, I checked on my smartphone and I could see that the video was now on YouTube, so that was good. And yes, across the road into the Comrades Club. Took 1 or 2 pictures there. Enjoyable time with the chatting to the guys. And came past, brief word, they said, have a look over the blend and brew. Yes, and scared the Chinese guy helping with the work. Anyhow, back home, and yes, you can see 20 past 11, and I still had a few things to wrap up. Not just what takes a moment, which is taking photographs of the tracker, but tidying up things, putting things on charge. Yeah, coming up to 20 to 12, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. Now the photos in the order shot. Yes, starting with reasonable aspect photos, working reasonably well under low light conditions, and with the old Samsung camera. Sometime I might be able to find a battery for it and see if that's the problem. Yes, that's the camera I've been using for some time until I've had problems with it recently. And yeah, June's rustling up dinner, steak for her and Samantha. Yes, stuff on there, TV, kitchen TV that is, and closed circuit TV. Yes, did the uploading, check how that's going. Yes, that's still in progress. And yeah, that's where I'd been doing a bit of work on the Christmas newsletter, and yeah, taking feedback from guys, and yes, so still work needed on that, but it's progressing. And yes, looks like I'm planning to go to the Flame takeaway, or not for a takeaway. Right, they're eating their steak and watching the TV, whatever that is, and so I'm off. Yeah, past the boat. Yes, see, the photos taken come out reasonably well, and they're blurred because I was moving. Slow down. Started off down towards the village, but then it packed up and I had to switch to the other camera that in my pocket, which I've been using as a standby. The only problem with it is 4 to 3 aspect ratio. Anyhow, into the Flame kebab. A few photos there. I like their stuff on the wall. That looks very realistic. It's obviously been printed, but very good. That probably Istanbul, and that's London, I think. Yes, and menus and things. So I had my usual cheeseburger with the onions well cooked. Looked on my smartphone, and yeah, it's blurred, I'm afraid, because of the again, camera familiarity with it, but I could see that the YouTube video was up, and that was the early December video, I think. So then into the Comrades Club, and yes, I didn't take many photos, of course, but one or two just as a reminder of the guys that were in there chatting to occasionally, playing pool with, of course. And then out. Oh yes, uh, it was only a few minutes in there, but they said, "Oh, over London Brew," and yeah, I was able to chat in the Comrades Club and to Kenny, and he confirmed that he was probably one of his Chinese mates who was doing the work in there. Anyhow, so made back home, into the house. Yes, that's the camera I'm using, and quite late there. Look, 11:25. So put things on charge, and yeah, check the tracker. Yes, anybody could see where I was, and it had been working. So there's my walks around the village and time in the Comrades Club till I get back home. Oh, there's June's tracker, because I thought that didn't look in the right position. Shows it up there, but it was on charge, so no problem. And mine seemed to be working perfectly, showing me at 22 Armitage Court, just here. So put that on charge, basically check everything before. Oh yes, the sink still hasn't had any more work done on it, but okay, that's it, time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 9th of December 2024, starting with a summary of the photos shot. And yes, made a bit of progress from the point of view of starting to get Homer out and get Samantha involved in helping. So it was Samantha and June, with me just helping with a few things, like throwing the rope over, and the bright idea of using a hairdryer to inflate him, because we basically couldn't find the pump. Anyhow, there's Toadie overseeing what was going on, and yes, and then we took a run out, and because we realised we couldn't find the pump. Oh yes, no, sorry, before that, Mum got back from shopping. We helped her in with the shopping into the kitchen, but then we were off to Longacres because we couldn't find the pump that we had in it. So we found a suitable pump in the little blow-up thing, and then we were interrupted by the fishmonger who'd come up from the south coast. So obviously we showed that, and something else. Yes, we've got a new PCSO, Keith Doward, so I checked him out. Yeah, so that's the pump that we're going to use from the little blow-up snowman from Longacres. Of course, it's getting later in the day, but we managed to put that in and make a bit of progress. And then Samantha's off to tennis, but Homer's up, not perfect, but getting better. And of course, processing of videos. And June's watching whatever it is, the news. Time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. Now into the photos in the order that we shot. Oh yes, that was a page I was working on, linked from the newsletter, and yes, looking good so far. Samantha and June worked together to get the stuff out of the garage relating to Homer, and so that was good. Actually got them both working together, whereas in the past it's been June and myself. Let's work for Robin and get Samantha out of her room. Right, that's the processing of the video for the day before, putting a commentary on it like I am for this one. And what else do we have? Yes, there's the robot boat, and it's June leaving, I think, probably to do shopping, I'm guessing. So the tracker, yes, tracker shows her on her route. That seems to be working. And I'm guessing that's to go. And so it's working quite. Oh no, it wasn't. It was going round to their friends to give them a Christmas card. That was it. And looked on Street View, and yes, checked with a phone call where they were exactly, but didn't get a signal when they were in the house. But yes, so that was their friend from a long time ago on tennis, and I think with all that work for Samantha. So yeah, I could see them on their way back, and yeah, it's fascinating what information you can find online from things like Street View. I think you probably see that in a moment. So not until they get back will I know exactly where they were, because I couldn't make phone contact. So it's coming up to 1 o'clock now. Yeah, so they've arrived back, and so they delivered the present, and June's checking I think one of the plants she saw was flowering, and she pointed out where exactly it was, and it was where I guessed. And look who that is. That's the lady on Street View. Looks as though somebody's fuzzed her face out. Just shows you what's up there. Yeah, there's Toadie prowling around watching what's going on, and we're off again. This is probably the trip to, or is it? I don't know. Very difficult to remember. There's Toadie decided to climb the tree at the front, or one of the trees. Yeah, hello Toadie. And yeah, so using the opportunity to take a few snaps. Yes, that lamp had broken off. It's in the queue for jobs to be done, but since there are other more important work to be done on the robot boat, there's no point in rushing it. Good thing is it's a standard product that we have several of them. And there's the bits for Homer laid out ready to be put up, and there's the flatulent fairy. Don't know whether we'll put it up a tree or what we'll do with that yet. And that looks like June on her way somewhere, probably, I'm guessing, to do the shopping. And yes, so just showing all the junk around the house and garden. The photo trail snapshot on that day. Yes, there's the pond low, bit of water in it from we had a bit of rain, but it's a leak to be done. That's a job in the queue, best done over the winter. And yes, that LEDs, the power supply for that causes them to flash. That's a thing to be fixed, probably just a replacement of the power supply. Yeah, so looks as though June has arrived at Martin's Heron and parked the car for shopping. So then, while she's doing that, Samantha and I can have a look at things. The main thing is, yes, plug in the power, the extension lead, and same old problem. Of course, at that time it wasn't until what can we do? Not a lot, but at least I can throw a string over the top, and I can see the LEDs are working. So that the lights are working, and we improvised with a hairdryer just to confirm that Homer would inflate. And yes, he looks pretty good with a hairdryer, and started to clear some of the bits of rubbish up, broken tree things, and also an opportunity to give you a snapshot of the good work that was done in the last year or two, providing space. And the reason for that was because I needed a saw. Decided to trim several of the branches, put the saw back where it belongs. Yes, make sure you put things back in the right place. And yeah, around the side of the house. Out there's Toadie taking an interest in what we're doing. Not much use though. And yeah, so that shows you that just the hairdryer, and that might have been a solution, um, rather than what we ended up doing, but you don't know. It certainly inflated him well. Yeah, so June's still at tennis. We're keeping an eye on that, and I think I made a phone call to her because we thought, they might have some pumps or something there. I think at the time we were looking for the little stakes to tether Homer, bits of string basically, to in a strong wind he doesn't blow over or blow away. Hello Toadie, watching what we're doing. And there's the hairdryer. That wasn't a bad solution, but I expect June would have an opinion about using the hairdryer. And yeah, so we'd made good progress in terms of being ready for June's expertise when she got back, because we didn't know that she was going to go off and do the big shop then, and that's the sort of thing I think we'd be better with Samantha going with her. Right, I'm adjusting the camera, and there's Toadie watching me, and earlier there was a long plastic tube that I was using to try and push things in place, so that goes back in the right place, so Samantha did do that properly. And so we're both fiddling about to try and improve things, tidy things up, put them back. Yeah, it's a couple of sticks that Samantha thought might be useful, but no, they're not really strong enough as stakes. In fact, that was solved when we bought the snowman. In order to get the pump, there were some stakes that came with it. Yeah, plastic things you stick in the ground and tie things to. You're checking the weather. Yeah, it looks as it might get a little bit of drizzle later, but not a lot. Just the camera there, moved it up a little bit so you can see all of Homer now, and it still covers the important things. Because I'm having a snack to eat, probably a pasty out of the fridge. Yes, that was Samantha did find a suitable mat, because people might trip over that cable, because that's the route. And there's June arriving back from the shopping, so we give her a hand and getting the stuff out. You notice Homer's got very deflated. That's because we've not got anything pumping him up. That hairdryer was a temporary thing to check him out. So bringing the shopping in to the kitchen. That's the time, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And probably I was looking at a video or something there that was being processed. Yeah, now June's looking at the bits and pieces. So that's the transformer thing that gave us 110 volts, because the pump we did have was that voltage. Because I'd bought a new pump, but it was an American pump, I think, 110 volts. So we had that converter, but we still couldn't find the pump. So what do you do? So that's probably looking at, yeah, processing of the Sunday the 8th of December video. And yeah, so we're still looking around, can't find that pump. Wonder what we do about that. So the answer is probably to go off to Longacres and see what they got. They always have a load of good stock for all sorts of things like Christmas decorations and things. So the answer may be to go there and see if we can find something with a pump in it, and you buy it just for the pump, the air pump. So we go into Longacres, and yeah, all a bit blurred. Afraid that's that camera again, 4:3 aspect ratio, but it's better than nothing. And that's a product we saw and thought, yeah, the bigger one of those looks as though that pump might well do the job. It may not be as powerful as the other one, but it's better than nothing. And in the longer term, that same blow up sander might be useful. So right, we've got that, and we're on our way back from Longacres. Yes, past the windmill, past the Beresteed, and home. getting dark, and then the fishmonger arrives. One from down near Bournemouth, I think it is. And lovely few minutes. There's the closed circuit TV recapturing his visit, and us having a minute or two chatting, talking about Homer and various other things. And yeah, June came out as well, chatting. That was a lovely visit, and of course they had that storm, Dareth, really strong on the coast. And that was an email that came in from the police network about the new guy, Keith Doward, and it's very interesting. Found out all his background and a load of overlap on things, including his job at Sunninghill St Michael's School. In fact, learning support assistant. June did that a few years ago for a little while. That was a few years ago before she did her degree in. I don't know, forget about that. So that was the check in the tracker, showing that was working. Anybody could have seen what we were doing, including visiting Longacres and getting back home. Just here. Yeah, so getting quite late now, but Homer's up there. He looks a bit sort of deflated, and June's also switched on those lights, and that's checking out the pump up snowman, and that's what we were interested in, the pump that came with it. And so June helped in how you got the pump out of the snowman. Did I say snowman? Whatever he was. And yes, and then of course it's dark, so you need the lamp out there to see what one's doing. But basically we're just about able to push him into place roughly. And there's the closed circuit TV showing us fiddling about, and basically it was close to it working okay. Listening to the Radio 4 news and relaxing. Had a bit of a doze for a few minutes, not for very long though. And Samantha's off for tennis. It's in the evening. Went out with a light. Yes, he's a bit deflated, but he is up. And there's the stakes that came with the blow up thing that we got from Longacres, and they were just the job. So he's now secured a bit better in case there's a strong wind. Yeah, there's a selfie of Robin with him, and June watching whatever it is on TV. Yes. Oh, that was the Maldo's video, which that was put up. It was it took a long processing, but it was well worth doing. So we now have a video of the holiday that June and Samantha had in the Maldives up, and that's of course linked from the. Well, it's on the YouTube channel, and it's also in the newsletter. So here's Robin with Homer taking a picture of himself, and yes, they're watching a wildlife program there. And yeah, that's the Maldives video. Probably I've been coming up to 10 o'clock there in the evening, so watching the news. So do I get a chance to get down now? I don't think I had a chance to get down to the Comrades Club that night. So time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 10th of December 2024. Yes, that clothes dryer that June bought because she said it used less electricity. But I thought, yes, it also means if you don't have any electricity, it'll still work. And the more I look at that, Googling it up, the more it sounds interesting. Anyhow, we were having breakfast, and yes, I took a look at the actual specs, like power consumption and things. But at that time, I was looking at it from the point of view of how much was that electricity that was saved. But that, I don't think, is as important as other things. Anyhow, Homer and Toadie in the garden. Yeah, that looks like lunchtime now. So I'm taking my lunch into the naughty corner, enjoying that. And Don't forget, he said, air is leaking out the bottom of our improvisation, if you call it that. And so use some duct tape. We managed to get a photograph of that photograph's not a lot of use, is it? No, that's the one that I used. The other one, Samantha was bending down. Anyhow, that's me with the summary. The Mulder's video was up and working. And there's the lunch that June rustled up. And then I take my version through into the naughty corner. And of course the newsletter's going along at the same time, printing out stuff and checking it. And then looks like my walk down to the Comrades Club, bit overexposed that. I did take a few photos there, prompted by guys getting out their smartphones and taking some. So how about this one? That's Baz, and that's, yeah, no time to say, Charlie and then Bazzy. And yeah, so on my way back home, past Homer, check the tracker. Yes, anybody could see Robin spending time in the Comrades Club, and if they left it watching, they'd see when I came back. And arrived home just here, and put the tracker on charge, and there's the time, yeah, coming up towards midnight. So that's the end of the summary. Now the photos and the orders shot, starting with that arrived, and Toady, before he went out for his cat flap, was taking an interest. So I did all that hard work of reaching to plug it in. Now I did that. And there's Toady out in the garden, and Samantha and June looking at it. It's good to get Samantha involved in things, but she was decided to eat her breakfast while June was still looking at the instructions for this dry soon product. Lots of interesting questions raised on that in terms of the patent on the idea, and yes, is it something yet bashed out in China? But it looks like fundamentally a very good product, certainly where you can say you may lose your electricity, so you can say if you got the electricity there, you can make good use of it. Anyhow, there's Toady prowling out the front, there's Homer, yes, and then I notice the pump that we got from the other product from Longacres doing its job. And so I'm basically taking some snaps of Toady prowling around. So Homer's up, there's, he decided to go across the road, and there's the mat so that people don't trip over the power cable. And video uploading, so that is the Maldives video being uploaded to YouTube. So then looking again at the details of that dryer, and I must admit it looked like a good product, yeah. So June made a good decision on buying that, I'm sure. Yeah, there's my lunch, I should think that is, taken through to the naughty corner. And then now, yes, I want to get a photograph of the three of us. But he said, well, and out there, air's leaking out from the bottom, which is normally where air would be sucked in if that fan was working. So I improvised a patch for it with some duct tape. Yes. Yeah, what I was saying there is needed two people to do it. So Samantha kindly joined me there, and June decided to start putting up some Christmas lights outside. So she's working on that. What do you do? Yeah. So yeah, it's a bit blurred that. Anyhow, they're both taking it. The key thing is, yes, we'll get a picture of us. Right, so that's the one that is okay. And yeah, came through as much as I went and got some close pegs there, I think, as improvising, and June said, oh, some garden wire. This is to stop that pump from dropping out, so that was a good idea, and they did that between them. And I put things back in the right place for now, like the duct tape. And yes, looks like I'm doing a bit of work on the newsletter that's been edited over the last days. Still working on that. So that picture is now in it, and the Maldives video looks as though it's up on YouTube, and so that can be plugged in as well. And yeah, it looks like lunchtime there. Oh, is that dinner? Evening dinner, I think that is. That's what June has rustled up. I thought, no, I think I'll use one or two bits of it, but that's more my thing. So take that into the lounge and the naughty corner. Yes. Work on the newsletter going on in parallel. Yes. Print out a copy. Just part of the process of checking it. So that's a 4-page version, or 2 sheets if you printed it both sides, but probably easier to just keep it one-sided. There's a cue ball, lead-weighted cue ball, so you can guess what's in my mind. Maybe I can take a walk out and down to the Comrades Club, so past Homer. Yeah, try taking that picture. Camera, obviously I'm improvising with what I got, and that little camera is a lot better than nothing, but not as good as the Samsung camera I did have. So into the Comrades Club. Yeah, 1 or 2 snaps taken in there carefully, because I've avoided taking pictures generally in there because of chance that somebody doesn't like the idea of it. Now yes, Spazzy and Charlie on the left, and Razzie started it with his smartphone. Wanted to just swap hats. Anyhow, that's as many photos I took there. Made my way home. Yes, there's Homer. So into the house after looking at the flatulent fairy, and yeah, check the tracker. Anybody could see if they watched it live off the contact page. You see, oh, Robin's in the Comrades Club. And then yeah, then I walk home. Yeah, there's 2 trackers shown there, and back home to here. 22 Armitage Court. So what else? Oh yeah, the Maldives video. Yeah, I took a look at that, and yeah, put the tracker on charge, and yeah, looking at what's next. I forgot to do the photo trail for the day before, so I caught up with that one the next day, which is today. And yeah, it's getting a bit late, so it'd take too long to process that, so think no, that can be done the next day. Shutting down, time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday, the 11th of December 2024, starting with a summary of the photos shot that day, which wasn't until about lunchtime, and June and Samantha have already had their game of tennis in the morning, and so I was busy during the morning doing other things like newsletter and stuff like that. Yes, so take my lunch into, that was about 1:30, into the naughty corner, and where I can watch the closed circuit TV, and of course a lot of work was related to the newsletter, including the much smaller version, to get Samantha to do that, since that's what June and Samantha had agreed. And then later in the evening it was dinner. Saw some cobwebs in front of the cameras, so I cleared those out of the way, and that seemed to fix that. And yes, time to go down to the Comrades Club, armed with my cue ball. And so down the road there, yes, there's Homer, and into the Comrades Club. Didn't take many pictures, but lovely conversations being had there. my 0% Peroni, yes, Christmas tree, and the pool table, but those photos were after people had gone. So then out, back home, and yes, check the tracker, and anybody could see where I was. Yes, Robin's in the Comrades Club, and if they left it watching that, they'd see when I came out and got back home, just here. So yeah, 5 to 11. So put the tracker on charge. Yes, that stink still hasn't been unblocked. Yes. Right, end of the summary. So now in the photos order shots, starting with lunchtime. June's having her lunch. I take mine through into the lounge and into the naughty corner. Yes, 1:30. And yes, so I check the cameras, and yes, one of the activities been going on, of course, is the newsletters and the intention of Samantha using instructions from June to make a much smaller one, down to only 2 sides. So I made a start of it, of rough material for Samantha, so she could then cut it down to what was needed, if she wanted to do it that way. That's dinner in the evening, and yes, see the cobwebs, and go out to clear cobwebs from the camera, and the same at the back as well. Yes, there's all the junk back into the naughty corner. Still hadn't eaten my dinner then. Yeah, that seems to have fixed it, so we can see better what's going on. Oh yes, down to the Comrades Club, I guess. Yes, I took a folded up version of the newsletter in my pocket just in case. That's what June was watching on the TV. So yes, Homer and Robin. Yeah, so those cameras are all a bit underexposed, but better than nothing. Into the Comrades Club. And yes, that's in one corner. There's my 0% Peroni, and the Christmas tree, I think, is over the other side. Yeah, so the zoom didn't work too badly. And that was much later, after the other conversations going on. Right, making my way back home. Yes, all a bit underexposed, but that'll have to do on the camera front. Yes, into the house. Yeah, June's just sort of packing stuff up, by the look of it, in the kitchen. Yeah, check the tracker. Yes, that shows me in the Comrades Club. Yeah, that's the details. And the route back. And into the house. Yeah, the data looks right. 22 Armitage Court. And what else? Yes, just here. And yeah, what's the time there? Yeah, 5 to 11 in the evening or night. Put the tracker on charge. Yes, that sink is still blocked. So time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 12th of December 2024. Starting with a summary of the photo shot. Yeah, that's June and Robin round at the bandsaw. There's Raj. That was later in the day. But first of all, it was pub lunch with us, Terry and Richard, and that was the Red Lion is where we went for pub lunch, because the others were supposedly all booked. And there's Bentley, the cat from outside, opposite, and yeah, there's Homer, both of them keeping guard duty. And there's the robot boat out the front. So some of the photographs are looking around, and of course I was doing odds and ends, including googling up Baldrick and his cunning plans. I often refer to Baldrick's cunning plan. Yes, so that is Stuart arriving on time, a little bit earlier, to be chauffeur, and dressed in a similar Christmas hat. Yeah, 5 to 12, and we're at the Red Lion. Good job we got there then, because there was a load of other people
And that's sorry, when I took that picture, his eyes were shutting. But yeah, and yeah, that was their food, and then Terry and I decided to swing into the Cricketers on the way back to book the table for the following Tuesday, and that was Richard's idea, but he stayed with in the car. It was interesting. More of that later. Making our way back to Armitage Court, and I pop in home for any things. June's doing a bit of tidying up. That's the time, 12:10, and yes, got back there and going across to Richard's in a moment. Richard and Faye's for coffee, cake and chatting. Yes, chat about lots of things, including flying full-size aircraft and model aircraft. And yes, so those are some of the guys there over at Stephen Kay's. The guys on the right, and there's Dick Bailey. He's done flying both sides. And yes, various other subjects came up, including interesting guys you meet. And yeah, getting later in the day, you can see it getting darker. Yeah, that light's got to be fixed sometime. Homer's lights are on, and yeah, snap of that camera just about works well enough. There's the flatulent fairy. June is helping Samantha draft that much smaller Christmas newsletter. Yes, and so I'm off now. No, we're not. We're both off. I'm off to join June with Romeo, their doggy. There we are at the Bansals. There's Raj, and there's Romeo. Yeah, so that was interesting, chatting about lots of subjects. I popped into the Comrades Club briefly just to check who was there. Lovely crowd of all ages, but I thought, no, I'll get back home, listen to the Radio 4 news, and of course lots of things going on. Samantha's working on that smaller newsletter, and she's got it roughed out, but the problem was getting the files across, and I tidied it up. Now there's the food that June had rustled up, so I take it into the naughty corner. I see a cobweb obscuring one of the cameras, so I go out and cleans that. That's that fixed. Yeah, job done. And carrying on with my food. And yes, there's the lead-weighted cue ball, so time to take a walk down into the village to the Comrades Club again. June's watching some Father Christmas thing, modern one I think. Into the Comrades Club. Anyhow, didn't take hardly any pictures there, and it was a load of guys playing pool seriously, so a different crowd of people. Would have enjoyed it, but lots of other things to get on with. So got back home. Yes, there's Toadie relaxing with June watching the telly. Yeah, so it's now, what was that, 25:10, so time for bed, and that's the end of the summary. So now here are a few photos that I thought they're old photos, but they could be plugged in to tell the story. And yeah, so that's putting the peanuts out, and got to order more peanuts. I hope June has ordered them. Getting through them at a tremendous rate. Yes, there's me with Homer. Yes, that lash up with the pump seems to be working well enough. And there's the boat. So you can see this is the middle of the day. And yeah, just taking a record of the boat then. Hello, Homer. And back into the house. And yeah, so that's that sink, still hasn't been unblocked, so hopefully Samantha and June can carry on working on that when they have the time, and I'll give them a hand as they need it and when they ask. Yeah, processing of another video, googling up Baldrick, and yes, you can freeze if you want to read more, but I've often used that expression. Baldrick gave me the advice of his cunning plan. There we are, processing the video for the day before, the Wednesday, putting a commentary on it like I am for this one. And yes, untidy, lots of stuff to be put in the right place. There's the rig testing a servo to death and recharging the battery for it. Now, well, he's pointing over there. Christmas cards, where they are. Right, that's where we're planning to go for pub lunch, the Red Lion. And yes, it's only a few minutes, regardless of what route you take. So I think I'm ready now. I've done what work I could. So yes, 11:30, and yeah, plenty of time for. Oh yes, I noticed on the closed circuit TV, Toadie prowling around. So there we are, 11:45. There's a bird coming for peanuts, and there's Stuart arrived in his car. So I can go out there. In fact, I caught him just as he was walking down the drive. So we're off now, and of course we pick up Richard, and so we're now on their way to the Red Lion, and at Lightwater this is, rather than Chobham. And yeah, some of the photos will be blurred. Yeah, come to the Windmill, one of the major landmarks as we get onto the A30, and past that place that still hasn't been opened as a pub or anybody living. There's a school, so that's Windlesham, I think. There's a half moon. There's the church. So we're going the back way. It's probably better than going down the dual carriageway. Yeah, traffic lights, of course, hold us up over the dual carriageway stroke motorway, past the surgery, Lightwater surgery, my surgery, and past the little monument on the main road, High Street, and to the Red Lion pub. And the timing was brilliant, because they said, oh, get there by midday, and I could see why, because I'm not sure, there was a great crowd of guys coming along, the pensioners, so certainly didn't know they would be walking, they had no problem parking. Yeah, Christmas trees everywhere, and they got a table for us. And sorry for the timing of that photo, but yeah, one of the regular customers there, yeah, looking at what each of us ate. I had my usual, the sandwiches, and it's a few chunky chips as well. Yes, saw that. And yeah, so time for leaving now. And the difference is that it had been decided that we swing past the cricketers to actually check we can get a table for the following Tuesday, because that was the problem. When I'd rang, first of all, the Duke of Edinburgh and then cricketers, they both said fully booked. And of course what we found out, this is on the route there, is that when they said fully booked, no, that was obviously a little fib, to say the least. The problem is they had a problem with supply of food. So when we went in, there were, I think, 1 or 2 tables occupied. But anyhow, we booked the table for the next Tuesday. Of course, you can't be talking to the people. So we're on our way back now. So we've got a table booked for next week. Past the Beresteed and into Armitage Court. That's Richard's place. And then I go in to mine, because there are all sorts of things going to be waiting for me. There's the boat, and nothing really much changed there. And yeah, June's doing a bit of clearing up rubbish. Yes, the sink's still blocked. That's no work being done on that for a few days. 2:10 in the afternoon, and oh yes, Samantha is working on trying to create, and she did, a much smaller 2-sheet version or 2-page version of the newsletter, and that occupied me a good bit of time after, including this day and the following day, getting it right. And there's the air journey on the tracker. Anybody looking at it live would have seen where we were. Oh yeah, they're spending time there. Wonder what they went there for. And then back home. Yeah, to 22 Armitage Court. And just here. And that's where I'm going next. Walking across the road to Richard and Faye's. So I didn't take any pictures there, but Bentley came along to say hello, prowling around. Getting darker now, of course. Yeah, so into our front garden. Now the lights are coming on the boat. Now, of course, that light's broken. It's just been put there. It's a mechanical thing of how it fits, or fits one of the other ones there. It's on the list of jobs to do on the boat. Yeah, taking that QR code should take you to the Snoopy page, I think. Yeah, there's Homer. Yeah, that's where he's tied up to the tree. Hopefully he'll put up with any strong winds. He stood up okay to the winds we did have. And yes, there's the flatulent fairy. Looks like June's been doing a bit of hoovering. And alright, so looking at stuff there. Yeah, check the tracker. Yeah, that's where I'm going. Oh, that's where I've been. That's where I was. Yeah, anybody's seen? Oh, Robin's over there, and then he's come back here. And yeah, back at 22 Armitage Court, just here. So, yeah, looking at some of the old stuff there. Yeah, looking at material to go in a newsletter. And yeah, there's Samantha working on it with Toadie with her. Yeah, she managed to get a document together, but basically the process of getting the information out wasn't straightforward. It's all down to the tool she was using, but yeah, she had drafted something and I was able to make good use of it. So that was done earlier today. So now the time is 5 o'clock. Listen to the Radio 4 news headlines. Yeah, phone call. Looked like that was Bal Bansal confirming that June was there, because the tracker had shown she was there. Is it okay to join you? Yes, of course, Robin. Yeah, so took that charger because that camera I'm carrying keeps playing up. So that little battery pack is a means of keeping it going if I need to. So into where they are. And yes, hello, Romeo. And yes, he does a lot of barking and things. Yes, but Bal usually tells him to do what he's told. Just he likes people, that's all. Yes, so yes, we chatted about lots of different things. Yeah, that's not a bad photo, is it? Oh, that one of Raj. Hello, Raj. And Romeo. Yes. Oh, he was moving then. That's the trouble. You take a picture and then he suddenly moves. He's back in his room now. So leaving there just before June, I think. Pop into the Comrades Club. Of course, that's the second time, but I spent a little bit of time longer then. But they're mostly guys playing pool seriously, so I was watching. And yeah, made my way home. Asked Homer. Yes, hello, Homer. Into the house. Yeah, June's still tidying up things there. Yeah, sort of time now, 7:15, quite early in the evening, really. And yeah, so that's the tracker, shows where I'd been at the Bansals, and then back home. Yeah, so that's working. It shows both trackers. There's June's and mine at 22 Armitage Court, just here. Listen to the radio news. And what else? Oh yeah, Samantha is working on her version of the newsletter. It's coming along, and all a matter of how do you move things and everything. So, that's the food that June's rustled up. So yeah, I'll have some of that rather than eat out in the village. So while I'm eating that, I think June and Samantha are working to see how you can move files and things. There's a cobweb on the camera, clear that. So then you've got a clear view out on the patio. And so various things going on, including just emails to pass information backwards and forwards. Right, so time to go to the Comrades Club again. So what would that be? Probably the third visit, but the difference is rather than a quick recce, I'm not sure whether, oh, that's what she's watching. Yes, some weird combination of Father Christmas and US Air Force fighters and things. I didn't spend time finding out. Right, walk down to the village and into the Comrades Club. Very few photos taken there, but yeah, spend time sat enjoying the atmosphere and things before walking back home. Yeah, there's Homer on guard duty. Hello, Homer. Into the house. Yeah, June's still watching something or other. I wish it was that red zone, something different. And yeah, 25 to 11. So shut down the PCs, put the tracker on charge. Time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Oh, that's some extra pictures that I thought might be useful, part of the story. And that is the end of the photo trail. Friday the 13th of December 2024, starting with a summary of the few photos shot that day. Yeah, I went into the afternoon, and yes, much of the work was laying out with the photos and things, the newsletter that Samantha had done, much smaller, 2 sizes of A4, and a long call from Alexander. I think it was 4 hours, was it? A lovely call, talking about all sorts of things. Anyhow, time to take a walk down back end of the day, down to the Comrades Club, leaving Toadie to look after June, watching the news, I think that was, and then down to the Comrades Club, and hardly any photos then, and suddenly, duh, where's my phone? So that was helped by Badsy giving a phone to it, and yeah, it was where I thought it might be, in the lounge. So walk back, nice bit of exercise, back into the Comrades Club. Yeah, lovely atmosphere there, just relaxing, and no game of pool. No, didn't want to push people off the pool table. Oh, yes, that came out quite well, the Samantha's smaller newsletter online. So walk back, check the tracker. Yes, anybody could see where I was in the Comrades Club, and walking home, and yes, 12:30, midnight. So there's Toadie. Make sure June's tracker's on charge as well as mine. Time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order I shot them. So that's from my big newsletter, the icon that links to Samantha's online one. So Samantha had basically put something together as best she could with the tools she had. And then I had that long call from Alexander, no real photographs to illustrate it other than he'd first made contact years ago from finding Dennis Harris on my eSams page. Brought back memories, and we were chatting about all sorts of things on the phone. And what I will say is he's now in Edinburgh, UK, rather than there's me talking. So looks like walk down to the Comrades Club. Oh yes, posing outside with Homer. So walking down to the Comrades Club. Yes, that camera is better than nothing, but the lots of things wrong with it. 4:3 aspect ratio. Yes, so there's a picture inside. Oh, forgotten me phone. Did my impression of Homer there. Do. So yeah, get back, and don't forget, I can see lights on, so I can see that June's getting ready for bed, so it's not surprising she wouldn't have answered the calls that were made on Badsy's phone. So I'm off again, back down to the Comrades Club. Good exercise, of course. It's I think about 6 minutes walk, something like that. And yeah, into the club, and what have we got there? Not a lot. Yes, drinking my 0% Peroni, and looking on the smartphone. Yeah, it's all very blurred. I haven't got the focus in right, but basically I could see where I was on various methods, and I could also see that newsletter, and it didn't present too badly. Straight on the phone without doing any tweaking. So, time to come home, and yes, back in with Homer on guard duty. Yes, there we go, selfie with Homer. Into the house, and yeah, look at the time, you can see that on the clock, it's 25 past 12 midnight. Yes, put things back like the cue ball, check the tracker. Yes, there, anybody could see I was in the Comrades Club, and there's the details of it, 1 Bagshot Road. And then I got back home, 22 Armitage Court, coming up to 12:30 midnight, and just here, put my tracker on charge, and in the kitchen, yes, there's Toady. Toady decided to sleep there. Put June's tracker on charge. Seems she'd forgotten to do that. Yeah, check the no work done on the sink. Time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 14th of December 2024, starting with a summary of the photos shot that day, not until the afternoon. Yes, that's Bentley, the cat from opposite, relaxing, and there's Toady, yes, sometimes out on guard duty. And I didn't take many pictures to the afternoon, but that started me off. A Christmas card, and somebody had forgotten to put in who it was from, and that was a little puzzle. I thought, it could have been a neighbour, it could have been a delivery from a courier, because these days there's nothing on the envelope to be sure. So those 2 couriers who came, and I thought the closed circuit TV might show a neighbour, for example, popping in the door, but not to worry. Yeah, switched the robot boat on. It had been left for over a week to recharge the batteries. Yes, looks as though it was running. Yes, whatever time that was. Measured the voltages, and of course that's all stuff that gets put up in the online blog. Yes, there's Toady on guard duty out the front. Sat on Samantha's car, I think. Yes, there's the flatulent fairy. And yes, updated the blog. And looks as though I'm off down to the Comrades Club, so it must have been quite late in the day then. Didn't take many pictures, so at least the pictures that I took didn't come out. So that's the end of the summary. So now in the photos in the order that they were shot. So first of all, that card, I mean, may have to try and recognise the handwriting. So I wrote that on the envelope for June. Who is this from? And yeah, looked at the visitors. I think there were 2 couriers that had come. One with a package that we knew, but I couldn't work out from the closed circuit TV whether the envelope was one of those packages or which one, or rather the same courier service. That's Samantha going off for tennis earlier in the day. I only noticed the timing of that. Oh, and there's a squirrel on the closed circuit TV. There's another visitor. Lady, yeah, delivering stuff. And of course, taking photos. That's what you have to do. But I didn't have the answer to my question, so yeah, we'll find out in slow time who it was. Interesting exercise though, trying to find out. Yes, there's Toady having whatever that is, probably middle of the day lunch or probably early evening dinner. Yes, yes, put a commentary on for the day before like I'm doing for this one. Yeah, that was the servo, testing a servo to death. That was working. Yes, there's the untidy games room. No change on that. No time to do anything. Yes, picked up the meter. That's why I went out. Got a selfie of me with Homer to basically switch the boat on. That was after 8 days of recovering. And how did that happen? Yeah, somebody having a little prank, undoing that lead. Yeah, well, who's to know? So, yeah, could have been me forgetting it. Anyway, check the voltages. So, left hand side 4.98. Just check it again because it's fluctuating a bit. And combined 5.17 volts. Yeah, a few snaps of the boat. Oh, it made sure it was tied more securely. It wasn't tied securely at all, because it had blown down during that storm, but nothing serious done apart from that lamp broken. Anyhow, so I tied it a bit more securely. Yeah, some pictures of Homer and Toady on guard duty. Yes, he was actually awake then, makes a change. Hello, Toady. Yes. So, yeah, making my way to the front door. There's the flatulent fairy. Haven't decided what we'll do with that for Christmas. And, yeah, put the meter back where it belonged. And, yes, update the blog 11 for the robot boat. Basically, just explaining it had been switched on and what the voltages were. Yeah, that sink still hasn't been unblocked. Yeah, well, that's a job. May get round to it sometime. Oh, there's Bentley in the washing basket. Yeah, a bit more photogenic than most of the other stuff. That's why it was put at the front. Looks like I'm getting ready to go down to the Comrades Club. And I did take some photos down there, but couldn't find them. So not to worry. Anyhow, that was the trip back. And the tracker showed where I was. Anybody could see, including getting back home at number 22. Just here. Put the tracker on charge. Time for bed. And that's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 15th of December 2024. Starting with a summary of the photo shot that day. Yes, Homer's still up there. And yes, I made good progress on the newsletters, and we now got 4 different copies to choose from. And yes, long phone calls, including from Alexander, I think that one was. And yes, it was good to see June and Samantha working together on their version of the newsletter, which I've called K for Kitchen, because at the end of the day you try and keep up with what's happening. So I then did a photo trail of the garden while I took the chance, just to remind guys of what was going on. And yes, Homer's still there up at the front, and the robot boat had stopped working due to lack of power, and that was not unexpected. And the photo trail shows that it was about 3:30 in the morning. Yeah, recorded the commentary for the day before, as I'm doing now for this one. And the back end of the day, June's rustled up food, which I take into the naughty corner, into the lounge, where we got the Christmas tree there. And yes, there's Toady relaxing with June. Time to go down to the Comrades Club and have a relax. Bit of exercise, of course, is the reason I do it. And yeah, down past Homer into the Comrades Club. Took several photos there carefully, but not enough to do justice, because it was the Christmas raffle. And yeah, absolutely lovely atmosphere there. And yeah, that's about the only picture I got of that. Anyhow, left and back home. Probably getting quite late now. Yes, there we go. Coming up to nearly 11:30 at night. Check my tracker. Yes, anybody could see where I was live, including getting back home at 22 Armitage Court. Just here. And yes, put the tracker on charge. Check that June's put hers on charge. Yes, she has. And time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into all the photos. Now the main activity was on the, it was on the newsletter, but it was good to see Samantha put the Christmas tree up under June's direction. Quick job, as it turned out. Hardly anything to be shuffled around. Oh yes, looks like a lunch break for Robin. Put together quickly, and just on the record, nothing's happened on the blocked drain there. But we expect something might happen when Michelle comes down. Oh yes, that's my lunch that I'd put together. And June's now working. She says no, she doesn't want that version of the newsletter I did. I think it's better. That was my version. anybody can have a look at whatever printed version they want, but the version she wants to post out Wednesday, I think, is that version that she worked on then with Samantha. So where are we now? Oh, checking emails. Oh yes, reply for the get together, which we missed last year due to June's COVID. I didn't want to contaminate anybody, so that's in the diary, and sent the email reply out to the necessary guys. And yeah, a few snaps around the garden. Yeah, not much difference there from what it was over the last month, I suppose, but it's a record. I think what I did notice as I went down the end, yes, the sky cloudy, and when we got down to it, the gunra looks as though it's beginning to die off. There's a few leaves there, but that might be okay. Must remember to cover it from the frosts. It's all a matter of remembering what to do, and of course having the effort available to do it. Yeah, so not much change around there. Oh yes, I like that little gnome. Looking back up the garden. Oh, that's the important area, of course, was as we go round behind the laboratory into the workshop area, where we're in a good state now. It's just a question of the time needed to put things in the place provided for, and we made a good start over the last year. Just pointed out things there, just in case anybody forgets. Yes, obviously a load of leaves to be pulled up. We might do that early on. That's a separate job, easy gardening job. We got the right tools for it, but it's a matter of using one's time efficiently. Yes, that's looking good. Oh yeah, and was shown up ages ago. A bit of trellis had fallen down. Yes, it's on the list of things to do sometime or other, but more important things have to take priority. So yeah, looking back up the garden, in fact walking up, yeah, quick glance into the games room. Yes, and there's one of the robot boats on the windowsill, and there's June looking through the window, that is, in the kitchen. That being when she was working on that newsletter. And yeah, walking around the side of the house where all the junk is, but put there because it's stuff which we often need. And right round behind where the dustbins are hidden, and the cat forts, yes, with the warning signs, including about mice. Beware of the mouse. There's fat mice. June's car. Looking up the garden, there's Homer. He seems to be coping quite well with their cobbled together means of pumping him up. And there's the boat. Yes, noticed that it stopped, and later in the photo trail found out exactly when it was, which I think was 3:30 in the morning. Yes, and that had broken, so that was a job to be fixed. And I can say now that was done the next day, which is as I'm recording this today. Yeah, that's the camera I'm using. Better than nothing. Not as good as the one which I'd like to be using, but yeah, there's June working on their version of the newsletter. And yes, I'm probably up. Oh yes, that's the commentary. Putting the commentary on for the Saturday. And because this recording is talking about the Sunday. And yeah, lots of things happening at the same time. Phone calls from different people. Yeah, you might get a guess who it is, but I wouldn't bother to freeze it and read it. That's what June and Samantha have been working on, which is basically what Samantha had first drafted, and June has simply been tidying it up, but of course exporting it into a PDF file, and that's what Samantha had difficulty with, and I'm not surprised with the tool she was using. So that's their version of the newsletter, and I must admit I prefer my version. That's their version, which I've got under K for kitchen, and the one next to it is S for Samantha. But anyway, anybody else can choose on the online versions. Right, oh yeah, backing up of stuff, and yes, probably updating things like the Christmas newsletter. That's probably the big version, which has links to the smaller versions. Listen to the Radio 4 news. Yeah, that's when the boat was working, and you could, bit blurred, but that's when it stopped, and I could see the time. You can't read it, those photographs. You can just about see 0331 there. But that's the problems with my camera. Matter of being able to use it, and of course the limitations of the camera. So updated blog 11 with that detail. Wasn't much more than one line needed there. There, it looks like the Antiques Roadshow they're watching. June's rustled up food for evening dinner. I take that into the naughty corner and gets interrupted by various things. That's June relaxing with Toadie, and I decided to go down to the Comrades Club armed with my cue ball in my pocket. There's the Christmas tree lit, and yes, I'd suitably dressed, as a few more people were. Past Homer, and of course these photos are underexposed, even though I did experiment with increasing the exposure, but then I found with that particular camera, yeah, that's not too bad, but then other photos I found were overexposed. Anyhow, there's several photos I took inside the Comrades Club, very, very carefully. Yeah, blurred. That was off my smartphone. Anybody could see where I was. Yes. And they were probably experimenting with zoom there, and you see that came out overexposed and out of focus. That was off the smartphone. But apart from that, not bad. And I bought some raffle tickets. This is the Christmas raffle. Yes, it was very enjoyable visit. About the only picture I got there. Anyhow, made my way out and back home. A few snaps just to see if the camera worked, and it didn't really very well, but that was no surprise. So making my way back, here we are. I'm getting home now. You can see Homer lit up. There's the front, and yeah, did a selfie with Homer. And there's the time, 25 past 11 at night, or 23:25. Yes, that photograph didn't come out well, did it? But yes, the tracker was working. Put the cue ball back on the table in front of the telly. Check my tracker. Yes. Anybody could see that. I don't know what that earlier position was. That might have been scatter or whatever. Anyhow, that was working. So anybody could see. Yes. Robin's in the Comrades Club. Oh, now he's got home now. And looking at the detail, yeah, back at 22 Armitage Court. Just here. Put the tracker on charge, and that was in the lounge. Going to the kitchen, yes, Samantha, June had put her tracker on charge as well. Time for bed, so that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 16th of December 2024. First a summary of the photos shot that day. Yes, Homer's up there, getting a selfie with him, and yes, work on things like the commentary for the day before. That would have been the Sunday. And yeah, looks like Samantha is getting ready to go out, and with June, yeah, got the tracker and could see where they're going and their progress. And it was off shopping. I had to pump up the tyres first, and I repaired that bit of garden sculpture that June bought me for a birthday a few years ago, and put it back in place. And of course these things were spread through the day, so June and Samantha are off shopping, unable to check the trackers, like the one for the boat, which is working fine, and look at the date of that. Yes, that's fine. And of course the tracker, oh yes, let's encrypt. That was to do with work going on in the background very carefully so that the website references the new HTTPS protocol as opposed to TTP. I say new, it's quite a few years ago. Anyhow, hard work helping them in the shopping in. When I got back, yeah, selfie of me with Homer into the kitchen. Women are putting things away. Toadie's coming in. I rustle up a lunch based on a pasty and listen to the Radio 4 news. And yes, a long phone call. I think that was from Alexander, but I can't be sure. I'd have to look in my diary now. Yeah, June's watching that stuff. Time for veg, so that's the end of the summary. So now the photos in the order shot. Now, it's probably quite late before I started taking photos, probably late morning because I'd already done a fair bit of work. So I set up that holding page for lovelockhomes.co.uk so that if we're going to experiment with things like HTTPS protocol, we can afford to experiment on something which doesn't really matter. It's a spare URL, and only apply it to the other websites after we're confident about it. Oh yeah, dustbins are out. I better move those because the women are about to go out. There's the tracker that June carries with her on her keyring, the white Go Top SOS tracker. The one I have is the black one, and they're both on the contact page. So June decided you need to put a bit of air in the tyres, and I thought, yes, I need to run my engine on my car, which is sat in the garage not used, but at least the batteries won't be flat then. So that's June's car with the website, yes. And there's the robot boat, there's Snoopy. So they're practically ready to go. They've checked the tyres and pumped them up, and yes, there's the front. And there's, I noticed that had been broken. I had noticed it before, but I thought do something about it. So retrieved the bit of sculpture, and looks like they're practically ready to do. There's the Spot T2 tracker, the spare one, which is also, we test that, and the main problem is the battery's running flat. Probably needs wiring fixed on it. In fact, I did find that out today. Right, so yeah, that was hard work. And putting the dustbins back in the right place in the hide that I'd made a few years ago. And now, temporarily, I'll put that on the radiator, but don't tell June. And get her to make sure it's good and dry. And yeah, everything's back in the right place. They're off. At whatever time that was, of course it's rather blurred. That's probably long enough for that car running in the garage, so I can afford to turn it off and shut the garage doors. Oh yes, there's Homer doing a face-to-face with him. So June and Samantha are off in June's car, and yeah, a few snaps there. Coming down the garden to the front door. There's the flatulent fairy, and there's the sculpture. So I'll bring that into where I can work on it on the corner of the games room table, and that's the material I'm going to be using, which is the resin, Isopon resin, and a little bit of it. But of course you've got to put things back in the right place. So there we are. I've mixed up some of that, and it doesn't take long to go off. So push that thumb that had broken off into the right place. That's it. What a terrible state that is. Yes, sometime somebody may better help us get house and garden tidied up. Just a matter of it being done in the right way by the right people. There's June's tracker, and yes, that shows one on the way past the Royal Foresters on the way to Bracknell. And yeah, that was just an accident of timing when that photograph was taken, I think. Yeah, so see, they're getting to what used to be called the Met Office roundabout. It may still be called that, because the Met Office used to be there in Bracknell. And that looks where they may have parked the car, which is right near that Millennium Way bypass opposite the school. And there's the time of the last report, so it looks as though it's working okay. Yeah, it looks as though that's probably where they parked it. Realising the tracker is on June, so she'll be carrying it with her. And yeah, that's looking at the. You can't be sure of anything for sure, but maybe the battery was a bit low on that. Anyhow, I can see them now walking, and I confirmed that by giving them a telephone call, and yes, they confirmed what I'd guessed, where they'd parked the call and parked the car, and now they're walking. That's supposed to mean walking. And then I looked at another tracker with the one on the boat, and yeah, that's showing a recent time. That's probably the status report, so that's where you'd expect it to be. And there's Homer. So now that looks as though it's ready to go in its place on that corner of the drive, so-called Robin's Corner, where GPS was tested. Not sure what sort of message that bit of sculpture gives, but it was June's idea to buy it. Mind she did notice that I quite liked the same product in another garden we visited. But he says, yes, get on with that job, recording of the commentary for that day. Listen to the Radio 4 News, I should think. And what else? Oh, it looks like they're walking back to the car then, judging at the position. 3 o'clock, yeah, that's about right. So it's recent position updates. And yes, looks like they're on their way back. Oh yes, and that's going on in parallel. I decided carefully to submit that to let'sencrypt.org. But in fact, that was very much with the assistance of one of my hosters. I've got about 3 or 4 hosters, and they so learnt a lot about how that works, which of course means I realised that I've got to be even more careful. Right, it looks like the women are on their way back. Yeah, not far from home. Not sure what that photo was, but so yes, they're just arriving. Glare of headlights because it was getting darker. So they're now unpacking the shopping. So despite the fact I was doing the photo trail with one hand, the other hand was free to help carry a bit of stuff, including getting a photo with Homer. So move it into the kitchen. Oh yeah, hard work, isn't it? Just shows a bit of willing, not a lot. Right, photo with Homer. And what else have we got? Yeah, so the women are unpacking stuff. Toadie's decided to join them. Probably decided to have something to eat. And of course relax in the kitchen. Yeah, there he is. Good that Samantha's spending time with June on how to do things, including where things get put away in the kitchen. Not just the business of shopping and buying the right stuff, you've got to put it in the right place. Right, so that's what I decided to have. Oh, there was a pasty in the fridge, so yes, I arranged that artistically on my plate and took it into the naughty corner in the lounge, where I could sit and eat and watch the closed circuit TV, either live or whatever, listen to the Radio 4 News on the other side of the... And I got a call coming in, and that looks like Paul. So I remembered it wrongly who made the call, but doesn't matter. And yeah, what else have we got? Yes, newsletter coming along at the side, practically ready to publish, and in fact it did get published. And of course hard copies go in. So putting on the tracker to charge. I think I had an early night for a change there. Yes, so time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 17th of December 2024. Starting with a summary of the photos shot that day. Yes, that was my very light lunch at the Cricketers. And June and Samantha looked as though were they just back or just off? Oh, just back from tennis. And so they had tennis in the morning. And I only started taking pictures a bit later. For example, when Stuart arrived as chauffeur to take us to the Cricketers for the pub lunch with grumpy old men. And yes, Mike it turned up a bit of a surprise for me, but that's fine. That was Richard's friend. That's sort of surprise you're expected for. And I decided to have something very light, which was sweet corn. Yeah, I made a phone call to June to give a warning that we were coming back, and it was over at Richard's place for coffee. So I popped home briefly to check any emails and things, and yeah, while I was about it, I only took a moment to check the tracker. Anybody could see the time I spent at the cricketers, and that I got back home just here. And I'm going across next to Richard's and Faye's. So go in there, didn't take any photos inside of course, and quite late coming out. It was an absolutely lovely chat. Stuart left a bit earlier. Anyhow, so June's rustled up pizza for dinner, and I got a lovely Shaggy Lawson card from Stuart, and made me dig a bit deeper. And it also remembered one of the conversation topics was parachuting, amongst many others, when we were at coffee. Anyhow, so it looks like I'm going down to the Comrades Club. Lovely time in there. It was quiet, but there's some important guys from my point of view. 4 guys there. We were chatting and playing pool, and 3 came back. And yeah, there's some pictures on the closer. There's a selfie of us. And yes, very knowledgeable guys. Still at university, different universities. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot that day. Starting late morning, I think that was. Yeah, there you can see 25 past 11. And yeah, lots of other odds and ends had been done before that. But yes, the tracker showed June at the tennis club. And yes, not long after that, got warning they were coming back, and went out just to take a few snaps of them, and including June's white Go Top SOS tracker. And yes, Hobers, you see he's well inflated. He got deflated overnight. I'm recording this the next day, of course. And yes, that was processing of Monday's video. And what else have we got? Yeah, there's the my Go Top tracker. Yeah, coming up to the sort of time that Stuart might be arriving. Yeah, a bit blurred, getting used to the camera. So yeah, that was the peanuts. Still haven't unpacked them. We did get those delivered. And yeah, so we're off. Yeah, lots of blurred pictures. Do the best I can with this camera. And so we're on our way to the cricketers, past the Windmill pub. And yes, all very blurred. Anyhow, we're arriving there, and so you can see by the cars there that Terry was there already. And yeah, Mike turned up, and that's no surprise. Don't usually get warning about it. And Terry, of course, and Stuart. And yes, I decided to have a very light. That's not all of it, but I had 3 sweet corns. Call to June's phone was on answer phone, so I spoke to Samantha and just said yeah. And she said, oh yes, so they were going over to Richard and Faye's anyhow, so the women were going over there as well. So now we're leaving past Long Acres, and yes, the Windmill pub. So some of those pictures over the border into Berkshire, and past the Beresteed, and turn into Armitage Court. And that's Richard, so he drops me off. I just pop home for a few minutes to check things, including emails and stuff. And yeah, so I can see that their car has gone. Don't know the reason for that yet. And yes, that was my little walk. Anybody could see these trackers. Oh yeah, so they just, that was it. They decided to do some shopping. So they got back with the shopping. That's what they'd been doing while we were away. And yeah, check my tracker. It's always useful if you know the trackers are working, because there's a lot of friends and that it's very convenient for them to know. as I often say, they can hide if they see me coming, but it's a lot more practical than that. Some people say it's having people to watch your back. Right, so that's it. Got back home to 22 Armitage Court, just here. And yes, and that's where I'm going next, over to Richard's. Yes, there's the Christmas tree lit. And yeah, up past Homer, suitably inflated. And yeah, up into Richard's, and that was it. And then left quite late. That was a lovely conversation. It's on lots of subjects, as mentioned in the emails. Physical and mental health, flying, that's flying it yourself, and Stuart's certainly done that, parachuting, lots and lots of different topics. Anyhow, back into the house, and yes, that block sink is still, yes, nothing done on that. And of course, Richard had come up with some good ideas, including a link to a web page about block sink, which was a good checklist of things, mostly things that I'd done before, but it presented very clearly. So then Samantha and Saskia, beg your pardon, Samantha and June look at that, and with all these things it was a matter how you did things, and they were curious, how did June drain the water she was washing up with, and the answer is in the utility room. Here's the cards that June has been racing ahead and doing, and yeah, so that's over to Richard and Faye's and back, and yeah, back to 22 Armitage Court. And what else is there? Yeah, just here. And oh yes, oh yeah, that's it. Arrival by Paula and her daughter. Samantha had said that they were going to pop round, and yeah, it was great catching up. Of course, they only live around the corner in South Ascot, and of course, the family have known each other well since before they were born. Peter and Jackie Wigglesworth up in Shropshire. And anyhow, June's rustled up pizza for the evening meal, and yeah, so I take that. Yes, I could do it myself, but no. June explained to Samantha how you actually unpack the pizza and put it in the oven, and what they've got on is, I think it's Sports Personality of the Year award or something on the television. So what's next? Don't know. Oh yes, that was the website that Richard had sent over, or a link, a page about unblocking a sink. Very clear with pictures, and it was all things, but it was very good for Samantha and June. And there's the Jackie Lawson card that we got from Stuart, and of course I've been getting those for years from my sister. And anyway, well, that was one of the topics. I took those pictures then, which were related to conversation topics, and of course there's their old 2000 newsletter from that time. So that was 25 years ago practically. That was one of the topics we were chatting with Terry and Richard. And yes, so what's going on now? Yeah, that's the lounge. Oh yes, the oven, because June was showing Samantha how to put things in the oven. Yeah, processing of the video from the Monday, and then recording a commentary on it as I'm doing this one now. That was the day before, and then out of the study, and they're still watching stuff like that. That was that award ceremony. And yes, take the pizza that June had made, or Samantha and June, which is good. That's the cards that June had heaped up there, and the newsletter she had decided is going to go in there was the smaller version. Well, mine was still the same size, but I did prefer that version with the pictures are laid out better, and of course there's an online version, but June says no, don't know all that rubbish at the bottom in green about global warming and James Lovelock. So yeah, there are other. What do you do? Probably end up with people getting more than one. Right, there's my cue ball, so that means I'm intending to go down to the Comrades Club. Yes, past the flatulent fairy, past Homer. Yes, selfie of me with Homer. Down to the Comrades Club. Yeah, pictures still don't come out very well on that camera. And I didn't take much more than that picture there inside the Comrades Club. But when I came back with these guys, and we spent, well, made cups of tea for them, and oh, amazing what wisdom you get in young lads. I say young lads, they're still at university, 3 different universities, but they live locally. So they went off. That was great for me certainly. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Oh, those are the photos I took the next day. The part of the thing I should have put them in there was, it was seeing which of these guys were actually online and public. So that is the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 18th of December 2024, starting with a summary of the photo shot that day. Mostly long and boring, but the highlight for me was right at the end, meeting Yuta in the Comrades Club, making a new friend, I think. Yeah, so that was at the back end, and but it started off with various things like, yes, the block sync, and the good thing is Samantha working with taking tips from June, of course, where things were. Of course, yeah, as usual, tennis going on in the background on the television. And I took a look at the spare spot T2 racket. Had problems with it, I could see. Oh yes, Homer had decided to deflate, and so Samantha came out and helped on that. Well, more than helped, I think she pretty well did it. Day to print off the total deaths graph, and also unpack the peanuts and put the packaging away in the right place in the blue dustbin in the area that had been made a year or 2 back under the cat forts. Yes, check the time, because there was the meeting with Tammy, the PCSO, down in the library, and unfortunately that was called off, but it was a great meeting with the librarian. And yeah, so back home, yes, there's, and what else? Oh yes, newsletter. June wanted that copy to go out, which was the one that she'd put together on WordPerfect, but we have several versions of it. So then Samantha took me down to the post office, posted the letters, and also did a few other things. Yeah, and the tracker showed where we'd been, the run round, and yes, back here at 22 Armitage Court. And looks like June's rustled up dinner for the evening, which I take into the lounge and into the naughty corner with the Christmas tree all lit up now. Enjoyed that. And printing off the version of the newsletter, still the same thing, 2 A4 sheets, which I prefer. It's also an online version. Anyhow, into the Comrades Club. Didn't take many pictures. I think you'd have took a better one on his smartphone. But okay, back home. Yes, totally relaxing in the lounge this time. Yeah, look, after midnight, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into all the photos in the order shot, and I warn you, they will be pretty boring. It was a record of what was going on. We were trying different methods to unblock that sink, and Toadie was enjoying food. Oh yes, that was a good link from Richard, which is how to unblock a sink, which is a good checklist, but very easy to see because it was illustrated with pictures. Yeah, so I looked around for something to siphon water out before we put the drain clearer in, and I found that. I thought, yeah, that'd do the job, but of course probably saying put things back in the right place after I cut off a length. And as it happened, so that's what I took in, thinking that's what we'd use to siphon the water that was there before we put any material in. Of course they were doing other things like cups of tea and all the rest of it, and yes, June had found that stuff, which is what I was looking for originally, but she knew where it was, probably tucked away in the utility room. So that's what was used, and the method worked well to siphon as much of the water out from the sink, or below the pipes going down to where the blockage is, before you pour anything in. And of course, one of the things you try is hot water, boiling water. Of course, I found that complicated because June had got a different kettle. But anyhow, that's it. So that's the utility room, making sure you know where things are. I don't, but it might be of use to somebody who's going to help. Right, so there's the sink, all boring stuff. And that new kettle she bought, yeah, it's very complicated. It actually shows the temperature of it if you don't need to bring it up to boiling. Right, now trying the plunger. So we've got a lot of the tools for the job, and that's another brand of deblocking. That's the one that I got from Chapman's, which was the alternative to what I have used for years, acid one shot, but it was more trouble than it was worth them selling that, because you had to give proof of you were a business and all the rest of it. That was probably the work in my study of processing the video for the day before. And yeah, looked at the spare Spot T2 tracker that's not been running, and I found a few things are missing, probably popped out of it. So trying to improvise, finding something as an alternative to that spring, and I was getting voltages there, but yeah, so I spent a lot of time messing about with that, but end result wasn't yet working. Only got so much time. There's other higher priority jobs, so that's marked as not working anyhow, and so it's on the job. So put tools back in the right place, which is on the wall in the lounge, because that's where work's going on. Not, I said the lounge? No, the games room. There's the untidy games room. Just looking out into the garden. And Samantha, yeah, working on the blockage. No real progress there. Oh yes, how do you get water out? Yes, I suggested ladling it out, and Samantha essentially found a better container for it. Yeah, so as we're doing that, processing is going on of a video, and Samantha doing a bit of work in the utility room related to things. Oh yeah, June writing out cards. She decided to race ahead and do that so that they could go out by second class post, which needed to be later that day. And Samantha had effectively drafted the newsletter, with written the text and choice of the pictures and things, but it was that last stage that June was more familiar with it. Anyhow, that's the work that's going on. Yeah, so their end result was a word perfect document, not an ideal layout, but they preferred it because I squeezed in more stuff in my version, like a bit about global warming and James Lovelock. Anyhow, yeah, so there's Homer deflated, so probably a bit of wind has shifted him, and I did look on the close TV, but there is Samantha off round the corner, I think. Not sure whether that was to Paula or somebody, I don't know. And oh yeah, processing of the video, putting the commentary on for the Tuesday as I am now, and yeah, that's the naughty corner, the closed circuit TV. Probably looking to see, yeah, that's Samantha going out at that time, and I was probably checking when Homer actually started deflating, but didn't really come up with anything special. Yes, it was the day that the Office of National Statistics released the total deaths graph, and so I did my routine. I've been doing it pretty well since they started producing it, and is far broader in value than just something like COVID. Anyhow, yeah, so that's just that's probably where I was checking when it was okay, and when it, yes, it was okay there in the morning. So I'm looking to see if anything knocked it or what it was, but all of a sudden it deflated. and yeah, then going out and actually taking the pictures. So it just simply shifted, and the little pump that we'd got previously needed to be put in and tied with a bit of wire. Yeah, so I decided the peanuts had to be unpacked from the box. They'd been delivered a day or two earlier on the front porch. Oh, heavy work that is, carrying that stuff through and taking photos at the same time. And then pack down the cardboard packing so it pops into the blue dustbin easily. In there, there's Homer, still looks a bit deflated. That's two. Oh yes, and then in my diary, that I'm looking forward to that, which was down in the village, and PCSO Tammy, that I've met several times with the presentations, and so yeah, armed with a copy of my newsletter in my pocket, printed copy, and oh yeah, somebody from Halford's doing some work or delivering there. I think it was related to tyres with Carol. So now I'm walking down into the village, and with the point of view, I want to get to the library in time for the get together of the PCSO police guys and the community. So this is a photo trail of going down over the railway bridge of the village. For those people that haven't seen it, past the vets, places that have been trading for years, the Sun Cafe, and yeah, the Jade, or what used to be called the Jade Fountain. Yeah, Sunninghill Wines, popped in there later to get some more Red Bull. One stop. So I didn't have any spare time, they're a bit blurred. Yeah, near the school, and yes, decorations up, houses, into the library, and the thumbs up was because there was a lovely chat with the librarian. Yeah, Clifford. But yeah, unfortunately, the meeting had been cancelled because of sickness. So not to worry. So I'm making my way back now, using the opportunity to, with a decent light, to get a photo trail for those people who haven't seen it before. Notice that old 4:3 aspect ratio on the camera. It's the best I've got, and that same camera is no good for shooting video. It just says, oh, the card inside is too slow, I think. So these are coming, they're not on street view, of course. This is coming down towards our house through part of Armitage Court, and yes, you can see Homer there. And yes, so we're getting close to 22 Armitage Court. There we are, with the signs on the corner. Homer, yes, and yes, the flatulent fairy, and June watching with Samantha tennis, I think, and oh yes, the cards. So she's effectively made out most of the cards, and it's just a case of my scribbling a note or two. Yes, a bit naughty on me. I said on the newsletter I preferred the so-called S version, but which I arranged for printing off. But anyhow, I think the main thing is she wanted to get them out by second class post on that day rather than wait another day. So right, still work going on in the background related to the drain unblocker. So that's putting that stuff down, which I think is acidic as an alternative to the one stop. Yeah, there's the peanuts. It's a bit underexposed, I'm afraid. That's the result of the camera I'm using. Yeah, so topped up the peanuts on the porch. Yeah, and yeah, that's probably, it's getting dark, so it's difficult to see, but oh yeah, go upstairs, can hardly see anything there. That's out on the flat roof, so I come back down and you probably see it on the close look. You look at all that junk there, that is mostly clothes in the spare bedroom, which is access to the roof. That was something that was done several years ago. So back down into the lounge, look at the closed circuit TV, so that shows much more clearly my process of topping up that bird feeder. And of course, when I say birds, it's not so much the birds, it's things like squirrels and mice and things like that. We also get hedgehogs and deer coming round, but they don't go for that one on the roof, but not very accessible. Right, so that's my version of the short Samantha's newsletter. And so then, right, they've got to be posted, and so I've got them all sealed up and ready to go. That's the newsletter and card, of course, that June has put together, and I've scribbled the odd note on them. And then we're taking the trip down, of course, poor light, and so Samantha is taking a run down through the village in order to get to the post office so that I can pop the letters in the box. I couldn't see, there's no lighting on the sign. Anyhow, we then went into One Stop. Hopefully I get some cash after we posted the letters, this is, but that machine was out of service. And so where do we go next? Can't remember now. Oh yes, middle of Ascot, that's it. June suggested, yeah, Tesco's opposite the filling station, and that was, yeah, perfect. Went in there. Yeah, you paid a little bit extra for it, but the fact is it worked. So I got my £100 cash to put in the wallet, and then we made our way back through South Ascot, the Swinley pub. Yeah, all a bit blurred and everything because the camera's not really up to it at low light. Made it back home with Homer, and there's decorations. One of them's lit up there. There's still a few more to deploy. Yeah, there's Homer in the front door. Yes, there's Toadie decided to have an evening meal by the look of it. So that's in the kitchen. Yeah, June's rustling up food there. Yeah, whatever that is, Wagamama or whatever. And yes, they got the tennis from China on there. Check the tracker, the one I carry around. Anybody interested? Oh, that's the total journey Samantha and I made. And then anybody looking at it live could say, oh, they're Robin's opposite Tesco Express. I wonder what he's doing there. And yeah, and then back home, there's two trackers shown there, including mine, down at 22 Armitage Court. That's working all right, just here. And then, meanwhile, I've been called, dinner's ready. So, out there, go into the kitchen, and yeah, put my food on the plate. So, June and Samantha prefer to eat in the kitchen, and the telly picks up the stuff they want. So I go and have my late dinner in the, yeah, and then think, right, after that, time to go down to the Comrades Club. Yes, so I'm off, wearing my Father Christmas hat, of course, and people say what I'm wearing anyhow is Father Christmassy, down into the village, and at least may have a rough idea where I am, and into the Comrades Club. Yes, all overexposed that. So I go into the club, and yeah, that was a lovely meeting and long chat, all sorts of things, and of course we chatted with one or two other guys, shared jokes and all the rest of it. And yeah, back home, pretty late by then. There's Homer, so into the house. Yeah, Toadie, he's dozing in the lounge this time. Hello, Toadie. And so it's a case of, yeah, shutting things down. Oh, I checked the tracker first. Anybody interested could say, oh, where's Robin been? And yeah, put the lead-weighted cue ball back where it normally is. Check June's tracker's on charge, and it is. So time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail.
I think I warned you it would be, you can't see my face as I'm using the smartphone, that it will be a long, probably boring photo trails. But we're about to go into the material. There we go. There's me using the smartphone because none of my cameras are working. And so Yes, there's the expensive Renoir, and the earlier material about global warming and my suggestions about the DVLA. I think that started at about here. Now, what I put on the screen, because global warming is rare in itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert, shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired, happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet, because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes.
That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worried for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV. And relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my major weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have. Yes, it's now middle of March 2024, and the pond's changed quite a bit. I'll have to change the copyright statement at the end, but the message is the same. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy life while we can. Oh yeah, my hair's grown a bit since then.